Welcome back. This is Jackie Hynes' family today, but about 8 years ago, her two sons were involved in a rollover accident. Fortunately, no one in either car involved was injured, but the incident taught the boys a lesson, one that his mom wants to share today.
That's right. Joining us now is Jackie, along with Scallon, who's the founder of Before the Wheel, an online resource for safe teen driving. Welcome both of you to the show.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. You know, I think your story is going to touch a lot of parents because it's your kids weren't the bad kids. They were the good kids. They were coming home from a youth group. So let's talk a little bit about your story and then the importance of safe teen driving after that. What happened the night with your two sons?
It was a beautiful fall night in October of 2006, and my boys were coming home from youth group. Kevin had told the youth group people that he had sometimes driven with extra kids in the car already, and he only had his license 3 months. And
so he was about 15?
He was 16.
16,
He has license for 3 months, and his brother was in the car with him and another friend, and then he offered another friend a ride home also. They left the youth group, drove down the street, turned the corner, and within 60 seconds they had rolled over the Jeep 3 times. There was another car that was coming the other direction. They stopped seeing this car going fast, and they braced themselves for the impact, but the impact never happened because the Jeep rolled like right kind of in front of it, over the top.
And it went up over the top of the oncoming car.
Over the top of the other car, rolled 3 times. All the kids in the car like made it through the accident. 3 of the boys had their seatbelts on. One boy was putting a seatbelt on, like as it got going, which you should always put your seatbelt on before you move. And the one boy kind of flew into my son in the back seat. My son pushed him back off into his seat. They rolled 3 times, landing on the tires. They got out of the car, and my son in the back spit the glass out of his mouth, ran his hands through his hair, and knocked the glass out, and just started screaming and yelling at his brother for driving like an idiot.
So there were about 6 kids total?
There was
between the two cars? 7 between the two cars?
And actually, an 8th person was just dropped off, and she witnessed the whole thing because she was getting into her house. The other kids were coming from another youth group from the other direction, and they saw this Jeep coming at them, and it just lifted right over the top. The next day, I went to the house of the people who had the other car because it was my daughter's best friend's sister that was driving the car. Her dad is a pastor, and 2 nights before, another family of theirs chose to, had an urging to pray for protection for this family. So they were protected in prayer before it even happened. But
so you're here today to tell the story that these kids are all alive.
Yes.
And I think people will be shocked that within 60 seconds they could be going fast enough to roll over. For you, Anne, when you hear a story like this, what things stand out to you? Because these kids were not drinking. There weren't an enormous amount of people in the car. There were 3 passengers beside the driver, which is, as adults, we think of a typical car load. But for teens, what kinds of things stand out as maybe the wrong thing to have happened?
The warning signs.
Right. Well, when Jackie first told me the story, the things that really do stand out is, of course, following the probationary license. That rule was, families fought for that in 1999, families whose children were in a very terrible accident, and we got it passed in 2000.
And that means, what does that mean?
The probationary license is you can only have 1 additional passenger that is not related to you within the first 9 months.
Okay.
And that law alone has just saved so many lives. And so following that law is very important.
And there are other distractions. I mean, just besides the children, there's music, radio, texting. And now we hear from the AAA that hands-free is no guarantee that that's a distraction, too.
Right, because you're concentrating on something else. So the important thing is to realize these are great kids, and they were just leaving a house in a suburban neighborhood, and that's how fast this can happen. So sit down and talk to your kids about all these things. speeding and music, and I know you have a few more comments you would like to make.
Yeah,
also.
you had your son even write an apology letter. He wrote an apology letter. We don't have time to read the whole thing, but I think what is so great about that is it really put to words how he felt and the responsibility he took for it in his words. Though, what does he recognize as the problem from that incident?
Speeding is a huge issue. Showing off. He was one of the first kids of his grade to get his license. You know, driving and texting, he's like, never do that.
Yeah.
But he also realized that here I am, a good kid. Like, he knew he was a good kid, and he said in the letter, I normally wouldn't do this, and I did it this time. But that's typical teenage behavior, is stepping out of the, I did it this one time, that one mistake could cost you your life. And he seemed to recognize that.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really said, I have yet to forgive myself for putting my friends and others I didn't know in any kind of danger. I hope you'll forgive me. I know right now God will help me through this tough time, and if you're having a tough time because of me, God will help you through it. And, you know, taking such stupid actions, it just was a really bad idea. And I talked to one of the other moms whose son was in the car, and she said she has often come across Kevin's letter and rereads it.
More people could learn from that.
Exactly.
Personal accountability.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
And I think just the fact that they were all able to come home safe instead of him being, you know, taken to jail for vehicular homicide or something that would have potentially could have happened was very much
And that
potentially due to that prayer.
That is what the police officer said to him. He said, had anyone died, you'd have been going to jail tonight.
Yeah. That's
Very
scary.
scary.
Here's some more information about safe teen driving. I think people need to have that conversation with your teen if they're driving. The information is Before the Wheel. It's teen coaching strategies at beforethewheel.com. That's how you can learn how to talk about it and make sure that you can help safety in your own home. Thanks so much for being here and sharing your story.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Thank
Ann.
you.